What's up, guys? MindWarrior here, or Christian, and today we have another interview for the MPL Season 3. And with me today, I have the coach of the Miami Heatmors. Would you like to introduce yourself?
What's up, guys? My name is Dylan, otherwise known as Poijz, and I am the coach of the Miami Heatmors for the Season 3 of the MPL.
Alright, so I just want to ask you about last season and how you did, and how you think you did.
Well, I think it's no surprise, I should say. Last season, I was the coach of the East Lansing Toxicroaks, and this season in the off season, I decided to do a rebrand and drop the East Lansing Toxicroaks and pick up the Miami Heatmors instead. We went 1-11, or 1-11 or 1-12. It was really bad. It was my first time being actually in the league format, and actually I didn't even know any of the league rules prior to. Actually, no, I just joined because Cypher wanted me to. But yeah, we went 1-12. I think I only beat the Oakland Raichus. I think that was the time, and yeah, I got 6-0 by Dench. That was fun. Haven't heard the end of it since, but yeah, that's trying to pretty much grow from that. I don't think I could go any worse than that, to be honest with you. But
Yeah.
was my draft really? That draft was horrible for me personally.
Yeah, trust me, you'll learn a lot after your first season. I remember my first season. It didn't go that great. I went like 0-4 the first couple weeks, and just was a downhill slide. But you learn a lot, trust me. Looking at your team this year, you made a huge improvement, and I feel like you have, and especially season 2, you can do a lot with it.
Yeah.
So now, talking about your draft, what was your thoughts going into it now you're exposed to the league format and now you know like what works, what doesn't work, kind of your thought process going into this?
Well, I mean, this season was obviously a lot different because we had a point system. Last season we had just basically draft whatever you want, and it's basically in a randomized format. But yeah, being able to, obviously the first 4 picks were freebies, and then the rest you had to manage your points accordingly. But I mean, this one, it was still fun. I had a set plan, but a lot of stuff happened in that first round. Like my main goal was to start off with a powerful water type. I really wanted a powerful water type, and I was thinking Manaphy through and through. But then Blake got sniped 3 times prior to that, and then he ended up taking my Manaphy a pick before me. But I mean, I'm happy with the pick that I got, which was Scizor. So
Yeah, Scizor's
one weakness only.
Yeah, it's a really good mon. It has a lot of utility to it, and you followed it up with a great pick too in Sylveon.
Yeah, Sylveon, it takes up hits, and plus being only 2 weaknesses to Sylveon that Scizor is one's immune to, and one is I think it's doesn't affect him as much because he's already a steel type and a bug type. So
yeah, they cover each other's weaknesses very well, and that forms a great 2 in the Fairy Steel Dragon core right there. And now looking at your draft, I do see a lot of lower tier mons towards the end of your draft, and just in general with Armaldo, Dugtrio, Miltank, Quagsire. Want to tell me about that? Those are very interesting mons, and they work really well. And I just want to see like how your thought process was with those.
Yeah. Well, as of week 2, Quagsire will no longer be on the team. I did drop Quagsire because it was brought to my attention that Politoed is actually a better pickup. I ended up picking him up. I'll be able to use him as of week 2.
Nice.
So I mean, I could bring Quagsire. I have a hard time. It's gonna be a hard time prepping for my first week. But yeah, I mean, those lower tier mons, which basically everybody was picking lower tier mons because of the whole point system and how it took effect. And basically, I wanted to make sure that I had enough. I think I was like one of the very few who actually got an 11th pick because I ended up picking a Mega that actually gave me more points because it was classified in a lower tier in our point system.
Yeah. And the higher tier mons that you did pick really are not, like, you picked a lot of power from what I can see from your draft with Superior and Thunderous T, and Mega Swampert is a very underrated Mega in my opinion, and it can do a lot even without the rain, which now that you have Politoed, I bet you will try to utilize at least a couple times this season.
Yeah, that's gonna be the thing I want to try and, because obviously Mega Swampert gets the Switch Zone ability, which I actually didn't know, or I knew Armaldo, I knew Armaldo did, and the reason I got Armaldo was because I needed a spinner at this point.
Yeah.
And apparently, and he gets Swiss swim also, so that actually goes really well. And only being weak to a few weaknesses, I think ice and water is the two that stand out the most. So having him with the Mega Swampert actually does a lot, because then he can. A grass type is neutral to, I think, Armaldo. So
because of that bug typing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a very interesting draft, and from everyone's I've looked at, and this being your second season in a draft format, it's a very good draft in my opinion, and I think you can do a lot with it. You have a lot of mons that can have a lot of utilization and are very versatile.
Yeah, this season I really wanted to get a bulky team. I kind of strayed away from that after a little bit. I mean, I still do have kind of a bulky team. We got Rhyhorns, who gets Regenerator.
Yeah.
Miltank obviously can take hits. My only weakness is fighting. But I really wanted Tangrowth. That was my one thing I wanted. So that's why I picked up Superior when I had the chance.
Yeah, and Superior is not anything to sleep on.
Yeah.
I see what you want with Tangrowth with that huge HP and defense stat, but Superior is nothing to sleep on, especially with Contrary.
I was a little surprised to even see Superior even available in the 8th round, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's a great steal. So, now going into other people's drafts and kind of going into your conference, now that pretty much everyone I've interviewed so far is actually from the Moon Division, we've kind of gone to the general consensus that, not to say anything against the Sun Division, but the Moon Division is chock full of great opponents and a lot of good drafts. So what's your opinion on that? Some of the opponents that you'll have to go against this year?
Well, I know I really have to, my first week opponent is the Detroit Leopards in Cypher. And I watched his draft analysis, and I know everything. I know a lot about his team just by what he wanted to do. Really what he wanted to do was plan around Volcanion being Volcanion's first availability in the actual league format, because it got ranked as OU. I was actually surprised that it hasn't got jumped up to Ubers just quite yet. But, he pretty much said that he planned everything around Volcanion. He does have a very, very good team. He franchised Alakazam. He's got a bulky grass type in Mega Venusaur. Picked up Black Kyurem. I mean, he's got a really good team here, but those mons I just met, and he got Gliscor. Gliscor is really good. But when you get lower to his actual mons, I mean, he has a Tentacruel and Milotic. He does have some things that I can actually work around, being his Bisharp, his Granbull, and his Pangoro. Really can't really take that many hits. They're not really as bulky as the ones previous. So I mean, the bulky mons will go away, but it all depends on how he plays them and how he's gonna actually utilize them.
Yeah, that's kind of what I've gotten from a lot of people. Like, all the drafts in the Moon Division are very scary, including yours. And kind of what I've talked about with Dan and Jordy is that it all depends on how they're going to be played and how the coach does as a player themselves. And it's really going to come down to making the big plays when they matter instead of just the drafts, because I think everyone has an equal chance this year.
The one team I'm actually really scared of is the Leeds Rhyhorns in Jordy, or Jocalisk, whatever his new name is. But Jordy has a really, really scary team. And, I mean, out of everybody in this league format, I have the most to prove, because a lot of people are actually taking me for granted. And I have a channel on my channel. I've been doing some Wi-Fi battles, and people are actually impressed with my actual battling skills that are going on currently. But seeing Jordy's team right now, he's got Latios, Mamo, Entei, Mega Scizor. I mean, he's got such a bulky team. He's got Thunderous Eye, which it's not going to be a big problem for me because I do have Thunderous T. So that Volt Absorb, he can't get his Prankster off with the T-Wave, so that could actually be a huge thing. But he's got Seismitoad, Amoonguss, Umbreon. Like, the threats that he has for being bulky-wise is... Which Jordy kind of did last season. He did have a bulky team as well. But... It's going to be interesting to prep for him because of that Latios. I was going to get Entei, but then that was my pick because I had to pick before Jordy. And I was actually initially going to get Entei, but seeing, because Arcanine, you can do so much things. There's only a couple standard sets you can actually run with Entei.
Yeah.
And being Flash Fire on Arcanine, I can cover up Scissor's only weakness.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Arcanine does have a lot of versatility in sets that it can run. And I've always wanted to draft Arcanine. Whenever I've been draft, just never always get sniped on it.
Mm-hmm.
But it does bring a lot of versatility and does, as you said, cover up Scissor's weaknesses very well.
Yeah, now that I'm looking at the actual standings, we do have some of the best. Not to decredit anybody in the MPL, but we have this season 1 and 2. Or not season 1 and 2, season 2 finalists in Blake in the Baltimore Braviaries and Dan, the winner of season 2 in the St. Louis Sableyes in the same conference. Even Jordy, who's a really good battler, and Cypher also. I mean, our team, the Sun Division. I mean, we kind of the moon. Why did I get put in the Moon Division? I'll switch with somebody.
Just swap out.
Yeah.
And from what the other guys were telling me is that they really want to see you do well, and they really want to see how you do this season. And especially they said they don't want to not discredit. That's not the right word, but they don't want to do anything. They don't want to undervalue you and just be like, oh yeah, it's a free win. They know that you've improved this coming into this season, and that you, like you said, you have a lot to prove this year. And I think you can take off some of these, really take down some of these bigger threats like the champion and Dan. And
that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Actually, the one win that I want more than anything has to be. I mean, getting a win would be just. I mean, being better, I should say, than last season would just be a plus. But the 1 week that I'm actually more excited about than anything is battling Jordy in week 2, because I feel like out of everybody, the one I haven't proved myself to. Well, I haven't proved myself really much to Dan and Jordy themselves, but I think that those are the 2 battles that I'm kind of focusing on most and the hardest to actually prep for, because I feel like if I can pick up a win against them, then the whole season could be turned around.
Oh yeah, especially after a huge win against one of them, I think you can really take that momentum and really drive with it.
Yeah.
And like I've said, this division will come down to the last couple weeks of the season to see who gets into the playoffs, because it's going to be that close, I believe.
I think my last four weeks are probably the toughest. I have St. Louis Sableyes, Baltimore Braviaries, Leeds Rhyhorns, and Viridian Beedrills. So that's going to be a heck of a home stretch.
Yeah, and if you can really show that you can beat those 4 teams, I think you can really prove to be a threat in this league, definitely. And I know you'll make a lot of improvements comparatively to last season.
I think the surprise mon that's going to be the surprise sleeper mon on my team is probably Doug Trio. Just because, I mean, he really can't do much. He can't take a hit. Obviously, he's one of the common sets is Focus Sash. He does get access to Sucker Punch, though, so you can't really sleep on that, because whoever has Mega Alakazam could just get absolutely destroyed.
Yeah. I'm really interested to see how you utilize, like I kind of said before, with these lower tier mons, like Armaldo. I believe Dan loves Armaldo and what he's done for him in the past. And I just want to see how you utilize some of these lower tier mons to try to rake out these wins. First week, like you said, against Cypher, Mega Venusaur and Kyurem Black and Volcanion, these are huge threats in the format.
Yeah.
I just love how you, and I would just love to see some versatile sets, some really nice kind of just cores and such going into these games to really shake up your opponents and to really get some wins out of these.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough season. Probably, I'm actually more nervous about this season than I was last, being in my first format league. Just because I really didn't. I don't know. I feel like I drafted a really good team compared to a lot, 100% better than last. Like, I couldn't even franchise a mon this season because my team was literally so bad.
Yeah.
So, I mean, actually, I could have franchised Nidoking. He was the only one, but I didn't really use him, and I didn't really think he was worth it. But
yeah, I think it's good for you to start fresh and to kind of go into this season with a clear head. Now knowing how the format is, knowing what works, what doesn't, and really just make a draft your own and what you feel comfortable with.
Yeah.
So, any I think we kind of covered all the other points. We talked
Yeah.
about some of the other people's drafts, your opinions on them. We got through with some what you want to see out of this season, your improvements. So, any other last comments you want to make about other teams? Some predictions for this upcoming season?
That's a tough question because I mean, just like you said, the Moon Division looks so complicated. Just I didn't even I guess I didn't even really look at the conference in general till now, and I'm kind of a little bit worried. But I think I can go like for an overall record. I have a good chance. I think to go maybe 500, which would be 6-6. Maybe potentially get that playoff spot. It all depends on how the other teams perform. I mean, who knows? I could be predicting low. I could be predicting high. I could go 12-0, which would be probably the most amazing thing. But I mean, it's hard to predict. I mean, because in the Pokemon aspect of leagues, there are crits, there are paralysis, there's flinches.
Oh yeah.
As in flinches of a 6-0, which Empoleon still failed me.
Oh, Empoleon. But I believe that your prediction of 500 is definitely obtainable for you and your team. And I think with the improvements you've made, I think you could definitely even clinch that playoff spot. Just gotta go in every game with confidence and just know you're on even playing fields against these guys.
Yeah, I'm hoping for the best.
Yeah. So with that being said, I thank you for joining me on this interview.
Yep, thanks for having me.
Can't wait to see what you do this season to prove these guys wrong after that.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I'm hoping. I'm hopeful.
It's going to be a fun season. I can't wait to see what you do.
All right, yeah. Thanks.
So, no problem.